And hello everyone, and welcome to Namibia, and welcome to Omba Arts Trust, and welcome to our artisan gallery. I have to tell you, about a week ago, the gallery was turned into storage for food and clothing for some of our artisans to support them during COVID-19. So it's been an absolute pleasure getting it ready for you all. And really, this is so exciting. We really missed the market this year and missed all our friends from all over the world. I just want to acknowledge all the artisans who we would love you to have met, but unfortunately, you know, they live in very remote parts of the country, and I'm going to show you very briefly a little bit about Namibia. Just to give you a little more information about myself, I'm Namibian, I have an art background, and about 30 years ago, I started working with rural communities, and I must say I've had the most amazing, privileged life, traveling the highways and byways, mostly byways, remote areas of the country, meeting rural communities. We work with actually more than 4. That's who we represented, the folk art market. And nothing is better for me than sitting under a tree and finding mutual creativity. And everything we do is always rooted in local culture. And so everything I'm going to show you is all rooted in that culture. So just to give you an idea why our artisans unfortunately can't be with us. For those of you who know Namibia, and I know I've got friends watching tonight, and I say hi to you all. Namibia is in the southwestern part of Southern Africa. To the south is South Africa, to the north is Angola, and to the east is Botswana. You are talking to me now in Windhoek, which is the capital, and we work in these northern and eastern regions. The closest community to San or Jinqua community is about 2.5 hours drive from here. The rest are 8 to 12 hours drive from here, many on 4x4 tracks, where we visit the community and the artists and artisans. We camp in tents. So, you know, Namibia has a population of 2.3 million people in a country the size of Germany and France. So that just gives you an idea why, unfortunately, we can't have any artisans with us. And of course, with the COVID restrictions, that's also impacted us. And I just want to tell you that you are the first international visitors we've had since April. So this is really, truly very exciting. So as you were saying with the Omba Arts Trust, we're about livelihoods and supporting some of the most marginalized communities. 60% of the people we work with are San, Jinqua, Kung, Hakum, and Kwe, living in very remote parts of the country. And then the other 40% are represented by different language or tribal groups, as you say. And so we also have broadened out into food security programs. COVID, as you can imagine, has been absolutely dreadful, but we're going to celebrate tonight, so we're not going to talk too much about that. So I'm going to just start just a little background of the San, because I think that really is so unique to Southern Africa, and particularly to Namibia. And a lot of the work that is on show tonight is from that group. So there are about 100,000 San in Southern Africa. As you well know, they're the original inhabitants of Southern Africa, indigenous inhabitants. And last year we did an exhibition of contemporary San art. We also work with San art, and we have a book which tells the story. I authored the book. But what I want to quote from this book is something about the San, which anthropologist James Sussman, who wrote the foreword to the book, wrote about the San, and I found that so interesting. And I'd like to just read you 4 points because it's fascinating. He says, the San have been the most enduring and sustainable population in all of human history. Our species has been around for some 300,000 years, and the San have been hunting and gathering for a large portion of that. And up until about 20,000 years ago, the San were the most populous human group anywhere on Earth that was based on a foraging culture that they have developed. And 10,000 years after the beginning of the agricultural revolution, the scale and speed of the stand from an autonomous hunter-gatherers to the most marginalized communities in Southern Africa has been unique. So these are the people that we're working with, and we use this ancient sand culture of gathering and hunting and rock art as an inspiration and ideas for products. So it's all rooted in culture, but it has evolved into contemporary products, obviously, to support their livelihoods. So I think if you watch the film that we did on the COVID-19, it will tell you a little bit about the ostrich eggshell bead making. So I'm not going to tell you much more about that, but I'm going to ask Len, my cameraman, my husband, if he will just take us through to these art images on the back. These, just so that you know, we're destined for the folk art market in July, but we've put them back on the wall and we've had them framed just to show you. So these are all made from handmade ostrich eggshell beads. All the beads are handmade using ancient techniques. They heat the beads to get the different colors. And these are interpretations of rock art in the famous Brandberg mountain. This is a mountain to the west of us. It's a massif with something like 40,000 rock paintings in the Namib desert, this Brandberg. And so it's connected to their history, and they reinterpret those rock paintings in this contemporary way. And then I want to show you these are new works that we've just introduced, you seeing them for the first time. So they are based also on Junqua sand culture. And this is an interpretation of a rock engraving from the Fish River Canyon in the southern part of Namibia. So again, using ostrich eggshell beads, forming this, I think, just an amazing contemporary sand art. There are 4 or 5 artists who do this work, so it's very unique. Here's another piece. This is an interpretation of a leather gathering bag. So the sand hunter-gatherers used leather bags to gather wild fruits and, and tubers and so on. And this was an image from a glass beaded bag on hand tanned leather, an antique piece, and they've reinterpreted that. And then here are 2 more pieces. This is also from glass beaded gathering bags, and of course glass beads have been traded for hundreds of years with the sand, and they still wear them today. It's a very, very part of their culture. So this is another interpretation of a glass beaded bag. Again, for me, a very sort of abstract contemporary piece of art. And here's another one to the left. We haven't put them in glass because we didn't want it to reflect them for tonight's showing. So those are new pieces. And then I want to come back to the jewelry that you are all familiar with. We go to the folk art market. So the San have been wearing ostrich eggshell jewelry. Here is an old photograph, I think taken in the 50s or 40s, but you can see how they wore the jewelry. And we've evolved these contemporary products, although this is a traditional design that we found from an old photograph, and this one as well. And then we have worked together with the Junqua women and developed these various ranges of jewelry. And as I say, we do bring them to the folk art market. So I think there are more works of art here, which I'll just ask Len to show you. There's a giraffe, and it's combined with embroidery. And here is another giraffe. And so there's some other works here too that we did This is a lovely one with an elephant and a, can't even remember the bird now. But so those are new works. And I think then I'm going to move to our baskets, just to that I don't talk too long. So follow me. So also those of you who go to Third Park Market, you will remember our baskets. So we basically started working in the Kavango region about in the early 1990s, when a traditional leader asked us to work with the women and develop some sort of livelihood for them. And I had done research in baskets. So this is a basket that I bought 30 years ago. It's a traditional harvesting basket. Women would have gathered it and put it on their head with the harvest. And over 30 years of working with these women, we still have the same relationships. The baskets have evolved into these contemporary baskets. You can see much finer in weave, and about 10 different dyes that they use, including a rust on the pearl millet that they eat, bark of Berkemia discolor, which gives this brown. And the technique that they use is the coil technique. You can see over here, using riverine grass. And just an interesting fact, which one takes for granted, that people have access to the raw materials. One of the groups we've started buying from them again said they can't access the palm. They used to collect it in Angola, but with the borders closed, they can't access their palm. So we've given them means to go to another region to go and gather their palm. So you can see the impacts all around. And what's very unique to our Namibian baskets is this asymmetry. And we don't prescribe any patterns or designs. We like the fact that every basket is unique, and it's the creative expression of each individual weaver. And then there are two ranges of baskets here. The ones in the black and white. It's an innovation that I started working with the black and white. Using some of the patterns, and here's some more. So that's from the same, these are Kiriku and Sambiu tribes up in the Kavango region, which is near the Okavango River. And so those are familiar to you. And then these baskets here, so we innovate, and obviously we try and be quite unique on the market, because we have a lot of traders from the rest of Africa, so we try and make our products unique. This is from the north central part. These are Oshivambo speaking people. It's a different tribe, and this is also their gathering basket or harvesting basket, a different technique. And so we've used this technique to innovate and make these kind of contemporary shapes, baskets, and there are a group of 30 women who make those, and this is about a 3-year innovation, and it's going down very well in sort of contemporary poems. So, and then I want to come to the 2 more products. These also very interesting story. Beer making in Africa, and Southern Africa in traditional cultures is very much part of the culture. And in the Kavango region in the 30s, in the 1990s, when I was doing research there, I came across these beer strainers. These are traditional beer strainers. So people would make their beer, pour it in, and then the beer would drain out and the residue would remain. And they don't make them anymore because, of course, there's access to plastics and so on. But I love the technique, and we'll go close by. So basically, they roll the palm on their thighs, then they twist the palm, and then they thread it. And we've revived this technique and into making these contemporary, we call them soft baskets, kind of organic. But if Len goes closely, you can see the same technique, but a very different different style of baskets, and also about 30, 40 women make these. So they're also very unique. And then I think I'm going to conclude the talk. I hope I'm not gone too fast. Here are the PVC bracelets that have been so successful at folk art market. This community live up here in the northwestern part. They are of a Himba. They are pastoralists, semi-nomadic pastoralists, a bit like the Maasai. And they, very interesting community, or culture. They basically cover themselves in ochre and recycle various components into their jewelry. Like all semi-nomadic people, they adorn themselves. This is a epitech, which is worn by a young, there we are, worn by a young teenage woman. It's recycled plastic. And this is jewelry, also handmade metal beads. But this is the Himba. This is a photograph of a woman I took many years ago who was a friend of an anthropologist friend, just showing you her wearing the bracelets. And so we work with a very small group of Himba near Opor, which is the northwest, a very remote part of the country. Stephen, our main artisan or artist, has put all his children through school. He bought cattle. So the making of these bracelets has sustained him we've been working with him for about 15 years. And we also help innovate with design and that everything stays fresh, but we work closely. And then this is another group in the Kavango region where the baskets are made. They're Tiriko speaking people, a slightly different style, different pattern. And we work with a small group of men there. So I think that pretty much covers what I wanted to show you. And I am now open to any questions you might have.
Karin, thank you so much. That was really wonderful. So yes, let's open it up to questions. If anybody has any, please. There's a Q&A feature on the Zoom, and you could just type there, and we can just take it from there. Karin, I think I'm going to start one. I was just curious, how many artists do you think you've worked with throughout the years? It's like I'm just to get a sense of the impact in the community.
Currently, we're working with about 400. Obviously, nobody works in formal workshops. These are all mostly women, 95% women. And they do this in between their other agricultural activities. So it's difficult to give an exact number, but it's about 400. But over the 30 years, we've trained and worked with many more. But as I say, 95% women, 60% San. And I mean, just to give you an impact on COVID, I was looking at our financials today. We've literally dropped in income probably about 85%, and our income to the artisans is probably about a tenth of what it usually is. So you can see, we're trying our hardest to keep everybody going. We phone everybody every 2 weeks, and I think everybody just appreciates the connection. I mean, these are people we've known for years and years. So they're not just suppliers. These are people we know really well.
Great, thank you. I have a series of questions, and this one's from Benita. Karin, can you please also describe the efforts of Omba vis-a-vis helping with food security issues in the various communities that you work with?
Thanks, Benita, and hi. So we, especially for the San communities, they really are the most marginalized in Southern Africa, and particularly in Namibia. We work with San in resettlement farms. So these are landless San who have been settled by government, have no access to hunting anymore, but they do have access to some gathering, and I've been on gathering trips with them. And then we also work with Junqua in a conservancy where they do still hunt and gather. But those living on resettlement farms, we just realized craft just isn't enough. You know, we don't have a huge local market. We're very dependent on the international tourist market and folk art market, I have to tell you. So we just realized, you know, it's not enough. So we started working with the Kung and Hakung community up near the Angola border, and we started homestead gardens with them. And we have now, during this period, we just started with some Junqua in the Omaheki region, and we're starting with helping them make their own compost, and we're calling them bagot gardens, where it uses minimal water. And we're going to expand that program and hopefully roll it out to all the SAN that we work with, because hunger, I mean, I was reading a report recently, and I mean, I know that sometimes the SAN go for days without food. So particularly in the winter months, it's when they can't gather, the craft is really important. So we are looking at, we've changed our mission into really including food security as well.
Wonderful, thank you. Next question is from Judith Beckendorf. Judith would like to know, how do we buy your community's art throughout the year? What's the best way to buy these wonderful pieces throughout the year?
Thank you very much for that question. So what we've realized, obviously, with closures of borders, international tourists, and not coming to your fabulous market, we've had to rethink. I think it's been a great opportunity to rethink our organization. So we are currently doing a new website, and we're going to start putting on our artworks and the higher end products on the website, and we're exploring opportunities for online payment systems. And so we hope within the next 6 weeks, we should be up and running. And we certainly will also be advertising these works and the other contemporary artworks, the top baskets. So thank you for asking that. We desperately need to broaden our market here. Tourism is still a handful of people have come here. So we definitely have to reach out to the international market. So if you're interested, you can also just email me, and we can also send you photographs and price lists and so on. But thank you for that.
Absolutely, and you know, we will surely share those updates with our community. So when those come,
thank you.
Of course. And so another question from Linda Dillman: do you take the work from the artist in consignment, or how is that work? Is it a kind of a consignment dropship issue? Do you buy the work and you sell? Just a little light on that.
Very good question. No, it's our policy that everybody gets paid. So we can't work on consignment, and we have trusting relationships. So it's a participative process, and we agree on pricing. And then what we do is, if we sell anything beyond and above our price point, some of the products at folk art market, if we sell it, they get bonuses back. So we then give bonuses back. I mean, and I must say, our SAN artists, we're very happy about the sales at last year's market, because they do get money back. So no, it's our policy. Everybody gets paid up front, because they live in such remote areas. They need the money. And so we have group leaders. We've trained all the group leaders. Many of these women have very low formal or few formal skills, but everybody's been trained to have a bank account, to send orders to us. We pay the transport, and we pay within a week. So our success is based on really amazingly trusting relationships, which is hugely heartening.
That's great, thank you. Our next question is from Laurie Vanderveld. Hi, Laurie. How do you develop new products and teach women how to make them? How do the sort of the if you could just talk a little bit through the creative process of making these wonderful pieces.
Very good question, thank you. So traditionally, just so that you know, we generally have been co-opted by other non-profit organizations. So they've used us as the sort of go-to organization to work in partnership with them in various programs.
So typically they would reach out to us and say, can you do something in this area? And then I would go there and we would look at skills, cultural resources, other resources, materials. I'm very familiar with all the cultures in Namibia by now, and we start getting an idea. Some products we can use and perhaps manipulate them or change them into a more urban market. And other products we start from scratch. The ostrich eggshell, we revived the ostrich eggshell, and so got trained people to make them again. And then we fairly, I mean, our philosophy is we don't like to produce curio. We like to work with a product that has design and integrity, reflects the culture. So it's sometimes a participative process. Sometimes we work together, and then it evolves from there. Something happens and then there's an idea. And just to give you an idea, I mean, what we're picking up from the international people is the trends at the moment are more in interior products because everybody's at home, not so much jewelry. So we're already starting to think of new interior products that would suit the international market to keep income going. So we're thinking of using the natural art, the the gathered plants. This is an artwork, maybe hand painting on fabric. So the ideas start happening, and then I or a design consultant will go, as I say, sometimes we camp, and then we will work with the women and slowly develop prototypes and then roll it out. And then it takes about a year to 2 years to get something in full production because of where everybody lives. And then we test the market very quickly, and then we get going. So that's why you'll see the products that we have are very different, very innovative, because Namibians' material culture is not like West Africa where there's a lot of textile. Ours is a very earthy, organic, rooted in ancient culture. So we've had to really think differently, but that's generally the process.
That's great, thank you. Along those lines, Marta Gallegos, who's on an attendee as well, she was wondering how long those baskets behind you, for example, how long it would take an artist to create one of those. It's just sort of like a rough estimate. I mean,
this size, probably about a day. I mean, obviously some women are faster than others. This could take 4 days. A bigger one could take probably 8-9 days. But then one needs to take into the account that they have to go and gather the palm, the grass, and also the dyes, prepare the dyes, pound them. So it's actually quite a time-consuming process.
Great, thank you. And with that, Melanie Owen has a question, and she's wondering if now, I know that's difficult to travel, but are you able to visit the artists during COVID? Are you able to travel around the country?
Very, very good question. So we are visiting the San communities in the east of us. We've been taking food, hand sanitizers and clothes to them. So we are visiting them. The other communities we haven't visited because we've actually slowed down on purchasing. But as I said to you, we do phone them every 2 weeks. We're in contact constantly. And we were in lockdown. We're not in lockdown anymore. So we're really wanting to get things going again as soon as possible. But obviously there are constraints because financially it's costly to travel these long distances. But we are working very hard to get things back on track. But we certainly have stayed in touch with everybody, which is wonderful.
It seems like a lot of work, and I know that wondering how, do you have a staff to help you? I know Len is your IT master and your cameraman, and I'm sure the lifting of heavy things and other. But how big is the Omba sort of family, the staff that helps you put together?
Well, we're actually very small. It's myself, I have an ops manager, a store person, a part-time accountant, and a salesperson. And we also work with a Kung San woman who is just wonderful, and she's currently doing the food security and also does the outreach with the San communities. So so it's part-time. So you know, we get in our cars and we go off. But I think the good thing is we've been working for so many years. Our systems work, and we generally we also have meetings here where we bring leaders of groups to Windhoek. So we really keep connected, but we are very small. It's not a big organization.
So if you could go back a little bit to the origins of Omba, how did you get started? I mean, really, and if you could talk a little bit about your background.
No, it's an interesting question. So I have an art background, and my mother was an artist, and my father was passionate about archaeology. And so I grew up with stones, bones, and material culture. And I started working for, and I was a teacher actually before, and I started with a little touch in journalism, but I started working for an adult education centre here in Namibia, Windhoek, called the Rossing Foundation. And I was teaching textiles, and a needlework teacher had done an outline course and asked me if I would help the women with their needlework skills and do something that they could make money from it. So I worked in the South. First time I had gone to this community, they were Nama speaking, which are also the early indigenous people, and used needlework and applique to celebrate and use their Nama culture, very interesting culture, also very ancient. And we did these wonderful artworks using applique. And then this was in the 90s when Namibia was not independent. We were still part of South Africa. And then as the borders started opening and international NGOs came and there was more money in the country, I convinced the then director that actually Namibians had skills. We didn't need to teach skills. We just needed to harness those skills. And so started this amazing journey. And then traveling around, we did surveys and got an understanding of the sector. It was very undeveloped. We had very few tourists. So it just snowballed. We managed the craft center for 15, 16 years, opened up a gallery. So it's just been wonderful for me using that passion that my parents had. My interest is also very much rooted in local cultures. And I've traveled, as I say, all over the country working with these wonderful, wonderful communities. So that's how it all started. And then, of course, Folk Art Market, it turned us around, I have to tell you, because suddenly we had to, change some of our systems. We had to ensure quality, and the income was just amazing. So I have to tell you, Folk Art Market was a big part of that journey.
Well, you're a big part of our journey as well. So it works both ways. So are there other places in the United States where we can find some of these wonderful pieces? Are there other, do you have galleries or anything, other retail?
We don't have galleries, but I must say we've got a few wonderful customers, import customers, some through Folk Art Market, some I met through Dallas, through the Folk Art Market in Dallas. And I'm hoping they're going to watch this, and I want to just tell you, they have been amazing in their support to us. I mean, obviously wholesale export is a small, very small part. We're not really geared to mass production and big markets, but they've been incredibly supportive. One of our customers has even agreed to donate 10% of all her sales from our products to our SAN support group. So we've really got some wonderful people who've been supporting us.
Well, wonderful. So I have there are a couple of questions which I'm going to combine, and I think this will this wrap us up. What is the best way, if you could give us a website in which we can see more of this wonderful work? And also, is there any way supporters can make online contributions? If so, is it the same website? We'll happily post those with this video on our website and promote it as well.
Well, thank you very much. That's wonderful. So what we're going to certainly up our social media newsletters with products and so on, and we can send a catalogue. And unfortunately, our website, we're busy developing a new website, so that's not active. But I really encourage you to go onto Facebook. It will tell you a lot about the stories, the film that we've just done. And so if you are interested in the artworks, we've got catalogues that we can send to you. Generally, what we do, if you're interested in baskets, we take a collection of photographs and we send to you. So you can make a selection, and the same with the artworks, so we can do that. Thank you for the offer to help us with our fundraising. At the moment, Namibia has some technical difficulties in terms of this online payment system. We have been investigating it for 6 weeks, but we're hoping to make a breakthrough in the next few weeks. So if you will just stay connected, please don't forget us. We're also hoping to join an international organization in the USA. I don't want to mention the name until we formally approved by them, where you can also donate online. But really, any contribution will help us. We are, this is a 30-year social investment, as I tell everybody. We're the main driver in the craft sector with some of the most iconic products, with the most amazing artisans, and we don't want to let this go. So thank you. We really, really appreciate that.
And we thank you for this really wonderful presentation. Again, we will be sharing this with our general newsletter and through our social media, and we'll have a home on our website with any information that you'd like us to share. Karin, thank you so much for your time and presentation. I know it's getting late there, so much appreciated.
And thank you really for this opportunity. And thank you to my husband. I'm hopeless with technology, but thank you very much. And to all of you who've checked in, I know that we've got some good friends. I can't tell you, it's just so wonderful to be connected with you all again. So thank you very much.